Welcome back to That's Exciting Podcast.
Are we recording? Yep. Okay. Just want to make sure. Sorry. Yep. We're doing video, folks.
Hey, so some exciting news. Right now, there might be, I don't know, I think our voices are amplified just because we're in a smaller room, but, Ari's old room here, and he's happy for this, obviously.
Yes.
We've kind of made into our own space, a podcast room, and Jake actually had a lot to do with this side of it, so I'll let him kind of describe that.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like it was like a news station. Like, back to you, Jake.
Yeah.
So right now, if it sounds echoey, I apologize. We had some, I really thought, I read into it a bit. Command strips were supposed to get the job done for hanging acoustical foam pads on the wall. They stuck on the wall for probably 4 hours, and then every single one of them fell. So I was like, well, and then Kyle and I forgot to buy, I was just going to get black thumbtacks because the pads are all black. And I was trying to, I was just like, I don't know what else. I don't want to use spray adhesive. I know people on like Google have said that that's worked for them. I just don't want to chance like ripping off all of our paint.
Right.
If
That's
it does work, I mean, that, let me know because it's definitely a cheap option. But I'm going to buy a shit ton of black thumbtacks and just tack them up. So right now in the video, if you can see, there's a lot of little white squares from the command strips that stuck, and I'm just keeping them on there so I remember the layout of the foam that we had. But we got some decor in here. I'll do I want to try and do a cool-ish little like Insta reel or TikTok video of what the room looks like when it's done.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so we used to
like
record down in our dining room / living space / kitchen area. It's just all one open room.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels way different down there now that I moved like all this shit up because it was part of my, if y'all remember from like 5 or whatever episodes ago, my effort to not be as addicted to video games this time around is to keep everything out of my own personal room. And Ari's room is empty since he is back in Junction. Mm-hmm. So I was spitballing this idea with Kyle for a little bit. He was cool with it, so I bought a bunch of shit.
Well, I think
to pimp out like a podcast / work from home / gaming room. And
I think I was cool with it, mostly because our common space is now a common space.
Yeah.
But no. And
Kyle
so
doesn't have to hear me like my controller just clicking like mad, when he's watching the show or something.
Right.
yes.
Or if one of the boys is on and I'm just like
Hey,
screaming call outs or something like that. But I think it turned out well. I had a vision of what it would look like, and I think it exceeded that. It's still in progress, and we got some decor on the wall. Kyle and I are sitting in front of 2 of the posters that we have. These are all disc plates. And
shout out to displays.
We got the almonds front and center right here between Kyle and I, which I think looks badass, and hopefully it shows up pretty well. We've had some technical difficulties beyond the foam pads as well. I did not account for how I was going to plug in my new webcam to offer clear video. So we're doing it from the computer. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Yep.
And
O'Reilly said it well.
Yeah, but hopefully this thing does not suck like what he said. So
this thing sucks.
This thing fucking sucks.
So I before we started, I overnighted a USB splitter cable, and we're gonna plug in the webcam to that, and then an additional light. I think even with all the lighting we have in here, it'll be too dark for us to record as far as we are from the camera. So we'll keep it as is. We'll keep it lit. But yeah, hopefully it's not too echoey.
We're going to keep it lit, dude.
Yeah, we're going to keep it fucking lit, homie. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty...
Ooh. Moving on.
I think that's a pretty good intro. After we do roll the intro, Ari, I do have a pretty good segue. I do want to ask you, a few questions. Something that Jake and I figured out today on a drive, and I think it'll be interesting. So, without further ado, with that little caveat, I'm kidding.
Kyle learned something new today.
I did learn something new about the word caveat. Let's roll that intro.
Rough around the edges, but I'll be
And we are back. So Jake and I went, on a little drive today. My brother's wedding, actually, and I showed you this too. He had asked kind of late notice if Chris and I wanted to be involved in the wedding. Perfectly okay, but that, I got to go out and get material, obviously, for the wedding. There was 2 Amazon links, and that's a whole nother story. Jake helped me with that.
That's how you know Kyle's in construction when he says, like, yeah, I got to run and grab some material. Everything is just called material.
It's all material,
if
baby.
it's equipment, if it's dirt that's going on the ground, it's called just material.
I do not use
world,
Amazon.
Material girls.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't use Amazon, as you
Right.
two know. I worked at Amazon. I think I'm not going to support that. So I had to use Jake's Amazon Prime in order to get that stuff because that's the only links that I got.
And he paid for it with his credit card, so he did, in essence, support
Use
Amazon.
Amazon, correct.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what I'm
I
hearing.
offered. I was like, you can use my credit card if, like, it's,
You could pay Jake and he could buy
implying, like, if it's going to burden your soul to give
It burdens my soul to
any
see
amount of money to that
see
company.
Kyle on an Amazon Prime account. That's what hurts.
I actually use it a lot now, so I mean, it's
How do you watch
Yeah,
Thursday night
Good
football?
for you. I don't.
Oh,
We haven't watched Thursday night football game
what
this
happens
year.
when the Steelers?
And
have
I'm
a
not
Thursday
saying
night
so.
game?
Like obviously, I have an Amazon Video account. I do.
Oh.
What
okay.
I'm mostly concerned about is when I order something online, I know the people who physically are picking that material and, putting it into something and then sending it out. And it is
That's
the
fair.
worst job imaginable. Fuck Amazon. Fuck Jeff Bezos. He makes way too much money for what he created. Cancel us. I don't care. Really. Like, look at me. I don't care about
I
you.
think it's convenient.
Yeah.
you know,
And
I
other
realize
people,
our
yeah.
Amazon sponsorship. So.
If you don't
I
work,
have a Prime account. So don't cancel
I do
us.
too. That's how I got my webcam in like 2 days.
if you don't work there, good. Yeah.
That's how I'm getting my USB splitter sponsored by. No,
So-
Honestly, you probably could have just gone to
have a
Walmart
sponsor?
tomorrow and picked it up.
You don't tell me you have a sponsor.
I could have picked it up. Yeah, Best Buy.
You could have
but
literally
it's
have gone tonight and picked
the,
it up.
the convenience, dude. It's so beautiful.
Okay.
So,
That's fair.
in other words, enough on that topic. Don't want to
Yep.
give him enough airtime that he can benefit off of it.
Yeah, sorry, Kyle. Proceed.
Amazon.com /
no,
/
fuck
That's Exciting Podcast.
And so anyway, we were out and about today. Is
Okay.
my point. I
Cruising
got
around.
off. Yeah, we're cruising around, and I passed a Mattress Firm. Now,
Oh, this
yeah,
motherfucker.
so just wait.
Go ahead.
So Ari and I have obviously talked about this too. There is kind of a running conspiracy that a Mattress Firm. What's the other one again? Do you know?
Walgreens.
Walgreens, or they're drug fronts, right? There are so many Walgreens or Mattress Firms around, and it's like, how are they making enough revenue to stay in business? You don't see a lot of people buying mattresses, obviously, and a lot of that ordering is maybe online, and so maybe the Mattress Firm is there as an office. Maybe that was I know we talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
Like they're a lot of online orders, and then they're just a physical store where they can go up and pick up the mattress. Ari, without looking it up, please do not look it up. I know you're in front of your computer. This is just for the podcast.
Hands are up.
Annually,
Oh,
annually, how much is Mattress Firm making a year?
I'm gonna go. There's so many of them. They're super convenient. I'm gonna go with. It's definitely in the millions, not in the billions.
Yeah, this was my thought process too when I was guessing, and I was like, they have a huge customer base in like the low to middle income kind of range, so that covers mostly everybody,
Right.
and yeah,
I'm gonna say 15 to 20 million
A year?
a year.
Okay. So if I were to tell you in 2021, these sales for Mattress Firm, a year, their revenue was $4.4 billion.
Okay, so they're making money.
yeah. I
Right.
guess 300 million because I
So-
was like, they got to be making some kind of bankroll. I mean, there's so many of them. There's like
Yeah.
3 just down the street
There-
from Kyle and I.
from you guys. I know
Yeah.
there's at least 3 within like spitting distance
Literally.
of your guys' fucking patio.
So
So
that confirmed me, and I know this will also be a very good transition caveat to
stop.
to kind of what we're going to talk about next. They are a drug front. They have to be 4.4 billion
They're just
in
so-
revenue.
Dude, there was a
alone.
souped up, just cherry red Charger. I think,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it, I
It
didn't see
was a
what,
Challenger sitting in.
Challenger.
Yeah.
It, like, decked out. I mean, the thing was fucking.
And then like a brand new Subaru as well that was decked out, sitting in front
Okay.
of their parking lot. And so that's kind of what started the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like their sign is decaying in front of us. It doesn't look good. And we're like, how is somebody driving that? And I told Jake, this is our conversation about
And they're not insane cars, but it was like,
No.
it was just funny when Kyle brought it up. And
It's
then
a mattress.
two, like, basically,
So then
low grade street racer cars are sitting outside.
we obviously
Right.
did a little bit more research.
Uh-huh.
As a merchandiser, so you're obviously you're getting commission on the mattresses that you sell.
Right.
How much do you think one of those guys are making a year?
Like just the baseline guy
The
who's selling a
baseline, hey,
mattress.
Yeah,
I got a
salesman.
job. I'm selling mattresses.
I've
for
never even
Mattress Firm.
seen a fucking guy walking around in there when we drive by.
It's terrible.
It's just
Yeah.
like 50 mattresses, and that's it. And it looks like poorly, dimly lidded, lidded. Jeez, like what the fuck,
Lighted.
Jake? Lit. And
This is lit, dude.
like it's
Mattress
just got to
Firm
be a
is
guy kicking it with his feet up, making X amount that you're gonna
Right.
get. Sorry. Just in like the security room, he's just like on his phone, like, yep.
See, I want the number to not make sense to the revenue. Like I want their sales guys making like 15 to 20,000 a year. and then there's just a big question mark on where's the I mean, now granted there's 20 fucking billion stores cuz there's 2 on every corner. You can't even say they're on every corner. There's 2 of them. And so they obviously have a lot of employees, I would assume. Each store's probably got a general manager or something like that.
That's my next question.
And I'm just the baseline sales guys probably making, I would say, probably 30 to 50K.
Okay, so annually for just somebody who goes in there like, hey, I'm selling mattresses, $53,000 to $60,000 a year.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
Better
That
than school
is-
teachers.
that is better than
Selling
that's better
mattresses.
than a lot of people in America right now.
It's for the kids, man.
And then if you're just a
Dude.
manager, I also want that number too. Try and guess that.
The managers are in the 6 figures.
Okay, so
They're probably 100, 90 to 110.
correct.
damn.
Yeah,
dude.
pretty good guess.
Yeah,
So
nice,
93,000 base to
Yeah.
up to $100,000 or more, and that's a mattress firm, and that
Yeah.
is something that'll never make sense to me, and it just confirms my suspicions. So
Yeah, it's I mean, they're just throwing money around. They must have really good commission when you make a sale.
That's the thing, though. I've never seen anybody walk around in a Mattress Firm.
and I think
Do they make commission from if it's sold from their store location? Does a salesperson make any sort of commission, I wonder, from an online sale?
I think what happens
Because they have to come in and grab it.
either, so there's 2 options, and I haven't done
tell
this
you
much
what it
research.
Maybe,
but,
unless they have it
hey,
shipped.
So I think somebody who goes online and searches mattresses or whatever, they click on Mattress Firm's website.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That then directs you to whatever zip code that you type in,
Okay.
and then you are set up with a sales associate. And I think a lot of these orders are done online. A mattress is shipped to the store for you to then pick it up easily in your area, and that is most of the sales that you see going on. Because
Okay.
even when you and I went out, we moved into this house before Ari had moved here. We were looking for a mattress, and a lot of the mattresses that we looked at, or that you looked at, because I have my own mattress, obviously.
Yeah.
He's
share
looking for a mattress, and a lot of the times they're saying, "Okay, I can get this here in a week, or I can get this here." And Jake's number one question was like, "What can I pick up today?" And that was a very, very hard question for even like a,
Right.
you know, a furniture company selling mattresses to answer, is they didn't have it there. They did have a deal for you, but that was the only one. And you picked it up that day. And
Yep. Because
You
that's
know.
what I
Yeah.
want. It's what I
Yeah.
need.
I need it now.
I just care,
Yeah.
I don't need something like just 100% dead on that fits my every need. Dude, it just has to be comfy enough to sleep on.
So I think a lot of those run with maybe one or two mattresses. Somebody can just come in and pick one up with the rare possibility of a Jake walking into the store and saying, "Hey, I need a mattress today." And then I think a
one
lot of these
now.
orders are online, and a lot of these hubs for mattresses firms, 2 on every block, are just offices. Offices for online orders and stuff like that, and then they make commission on that.
So if it's a drug front, though, like how are we? Like, what's the structure in that?
So
Well,
they have
Like, how do
they
they?
have all 25 of those mattress firms that are right down the street from you
Yeah.
share one warehouse within a
Warehouse.
vicinity of them. And so they just have an inventory in a warehouse, and that warehouse, like, they make a sale, then that store reports to the warehouse pulls your mattress from the selection that they have.
Mattress. Yeah.
But at that warehouse underneath is where
Well, it's
where
not
all the
even
money's
underneath.
made.
What is a great spot to hide drugs?
Oh, right
your
within
bed.
the mattress.
In a mattress.
Yeah.
Right?
Or cash.
Or cash.
Maybe we're just a bank for the mattress firm.
I'm gonna cut
just
my
have all their-
fucking mattress open
Yeah,
tonight, dude.
There you go.
I didn't even buy this Mattress Firm. Just like 8 bricks of cocaine are in there.
Also, if you guys don't hear another recording coming out, it's because Mattress Firm has come after us.
Yeah,
But
we're fucking dead.
I really do think that there are some companies out there. Walgreens. Shout out Walgreens. Shout out Mattress Firm. You
Shout out
guys
to
are
Long John
running
Silver's.
you're laundering money. You're
Yeah.
making $4.3 billion of sale, your revenue every single year.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Dude, I was telling Kyle, like, man, I fucked up on my career choice. Like, I should have gone for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the business degrees, there's a reason why there's so many people in there. It's just a flooded arena. But people, you don't learn this until you're, years out of college. It's like,
Right.
man, that's. I feel like that's a low-hanging fruit right there.
It is.
Because there's so many mattress firms in each city that's like anywhere from junction size of like 50, 60K to Boise and bigger. And I mean,
Yeah,
you
there's like
just-
20
y-
here.
Yeah, you get like your bachelor's degree in marketing, and then you're like, you graduate. People are like, well, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, I'm gonna pursue probably a full-time managerial position at Mattress Firm. They're like,
I'm
what
a
the
manager
fuck?
of
Why?
sleep engineering.
Because as soon as I become a manager at Mattress Firm, I'm making minimum 100K a year. That's
It's
why.
interesting. What's interesting too,
Like,
I know-
what? And if most of the sales are online, that shit's so fucking easy.
Yeah.
You just like maintain an inventory of like what the hot mattresses are, or what people are buying.
I think
That's it.
what interesting too, low hanging fruit. You had mentioned that.
Maybe it's not as easy as I think.
No.
But-
And Ari and I have talked about this
No,
too.
it's as easy as
you
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 think.
show up to a McDonald's, and there's always like the misconception maybe, or just kind of the stereotype of, oh, so you work at McDonald's, so you're making minimum wage, you're doing burgers. A manager at a McDonald's makes a lot of money a year. It is 6
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's a lot of these stores out there that have thousands and thousands of locations across the United States, Subway, McDonald's, Mattress Firms, Walgreens. And if you do go out there, you get your business degree and your manager material.
Right.
Yeah. I think we got it figured out.
Which it's not hard to stand out in this day and age, in our age category.
Yeah.
I was talking to Kyle about that, like this earlier this week, basically, maybe last week. Yeah, it's in my eyes. I don't know. I think we've all been pretty blessed with good friends, and we know that. I mean, a lot of us are we're like-minded people. Like, we work hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of the boys that we know, I mean, they're doing well. They're doing well. Girls too. Sorry, wasn't inclusive there. But it's like hardworking people don't want to hang around lazy people.
Right.
Typically,
That's why they fire them.
sometimes you got that friend in your group, right? And it's just kind of like with every friend group, I feel like. But anyway, I mean, for the majority of our generation or our, I really feel like it's just not that hard to stand out.
No.
If you show up on time, you're willing to stay late if need be.
Yep.
You just be flexible. Like some people say, like, yeah, work can't be everything, and that's correct. That's very correct. But like, damn, take it a little bit serious and just don't have that mindset while you're at work, because then that just poisons you into thinking like, yeah, I just showed up and did the bare minimum, what I have to, and I'm going fuck home, ate and skate, I'm out. Yeah, that just won't get you very far.
Well, I think
So I feel like, in a place like McDonald's, that it's just not very competitive to look good in that scenario. If you go to a higher caliber place, like we all know, Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out are pretty notorious, right? Like, you can't be fucking off while you're there.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You can't be like a complete jerk off, and work at either of those places and expect to keep your job.
Right.
Like, I think In-N-Out's
Chick-fil-A.
got actually like a pretty sophisticated structure of like levels 1 through 5 employee. I mean, it's I learned about that when I was in college. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Dude, like a manager at In-N-Out is doing well.
doing well. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you start there in high school, bro, like, and you work hard and just show up on time, leave when it's adequate or appropriate, and you're putting in quality work while you're there. It doesn't matter what it is, like flipping burgers or cutting the fries, whatever. You have structure in some organization, because that's what it takes, especially a busy place like In-N-Out. Then you're going to do well. And then you'll elevate yourself to maybe a managerial position when you're in your mid-20s, and then you're making $100K plus a year. That's fucking mind-blowing to me.
What is sad is we were raised in a way to where you show up on time, no matter what. Being on time is like the number one thing that, all of us were taught about, especially Ari, growing up in his scenario, up before all of us. You show up on time, you put in work, which is just a standard. That is just a standard when somebody's preparing to go to work or you get a new job. These standards, you show up on time, you work, you put everything that you got into it, and then your free time is there when you go home. And I think that is it's not taught anymore. No. And I think that is why you go far, is there are not a lot of people right now, especially newer generations coming into the work field, and everything was handed to them, unfortunately. And so that work ethic has just gone out the window.
Either handed to them, or they're groomed in a lackadaisical atmosphere.
Correct.
At the house.
Everything's from home. So school is from home, work is from home. So you're always home. So you always have that like freedom that we never really experienced, because we were at school at whatever 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes earlier or whatever, and we always had jobs that you had to be like, Jake had to be out at the greens at the not even the ass crack of dawn before that, and I was up way early, and Kyle was out super late when he worked at the Merc. It's like we had the like exterior experience versus the like homebody experience that most people have now, it feels like.
Hell yeah, boy. I had to be in the seat of that lawnmower at 4 a.m. to mow greens before people were teeing off.
And it was school for me, like you were saying, and then clocking out by 9:10, 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock if we had a truck.
Yeah.
And then repeating it. So it's school, work, or for you guys, it was the morning was work, and then school, and then even after school, it was work.
Yep.
And I just don't, there's not a lot of people right now that are doing that.
No.
And so just for workplaces or just for businesses, especially, to have people that show up on time, to put in work while you're there at work, which is That should just be minimalistic. That's the
Right.
that's the bare
The
minimum.
bare minimum. Yeah.
And if people do the bare minimum, they will be respected and really grow places in the job field. And so anybody that's listening to this that is younger than 26 or 27 right now, or, you know, like even younger than 30s, and you are looking for a career and looking for a job and looking for places that you can grow, it sounds terrible, but do the bare minimum that was taught to us. You show up on
Yes.
time, you put in the work, and then you go home.
And that's chasing a bag, bro.
That
Like,
is chasing a bag
Yeah.
now.
It's stereotypical,
That
and
fucking
there
money.
are a lot of people who do that. But in relative to everyone who's in our age category, it's not a lot. It's a low percentage of people that
Yeah.
can stand out in a crowd, and it's
Yeah.
just the way it is, dude. That's why we see fucking memes that say like, you know, on a billboard, now hiring people who show up. Like that's insane to me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even gonna
need
blame it on
a body.
like COVID or anything like that. It's just like it's just been a collective effort from a lot of different things in the last probably 5 years.
They expect
especially.
something.
Is all it is.
Like I'm
yeah.
working, so I expect something, and in reality, you know, and it's as simple as that. You need to work to live right now, and that's just how America is. You work, you get your paycheck, you go on with life.
Or everybody thinks they can be a content creator too.
Yeah.
Which you're
Yeah.
damn right we
Hi.
think we can get there too. Like that's exciting podcast, dude. I want to make this something, bro. And but it does not diminish what we're doing on a daily basis at work.
Right. I think it's more props to us that we're trying to do something outside of the bare minimum.
Yeah, I want to entertain
mean-
people at a minimum, you know,
Right.
but if this turns into something like that's fucking sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a dream
Okay,
come
Jake,
true.
you brought up a really interesting point, which might answer some of our questions about Mattress Firm. So when you're talking about the kid working in high school who might be able to elevate into that managerial, you know, scene by the time he's graduated high school or is
Right.
through into his 20s, he becomes a manager. He's making that 6-figure, you know, bag.
Yep.
So Kyle brought up McDonald's. McDonald's franchises. Does Mattress Firm franchise? Did you look into that?
I
Well, I
imagine
did.
they might.
I did a lot of the research on Mattress Firm. I don't think so. Mostly
Okay.
because, you know, obviously FedEx or, you know, the company that you're working for is a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's is a franchise. And there's physical locations there.
Right.
I don't think so.
Because obviously a franchise is something that any individual can like buy into. So the owner of like the McDonald's here in Grand Junction, as you know, obviously isn't he owns the 3 McDonald's we have in this town, and he makes a huge profit off of that.
Oh no
In
doubt.
return, they have profits that they kick to the corporate McDonald's. But I was wondering if Mattress Firm was a franchise, if they could franchise, and that's why maybe there's so many. Like they're trying to just play the McDonald's game and be like, we need
Mattress Firm is franchised.
Nice.
to be. There you go.
So there is an
So
opportunity
that
to do
answers
it.
that answers the question of why there's so many.
Okay.
Is they're just playing the real
Well,
estate
same
game,
with
which is what
Subways.
McDonald's plays.
Same with Subways.
Yeah,
Subways
exactly.
has the most.
Those are franchise.
Which,
Yep.
fun fact, Subways does. They do have the most restaurants right now in the entire United States.
Dude, okay, yeah, that's just funny. These guys here have heard me constantly say, I'm just shocked Subway's in business.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that Subway died out
used to
like
be
8
so good,
years
dude.
ago, bro.
Yeah. No,
It
they're
was
still-
only
they're still
big
kicking,
to
dude.
us because in our small-ass town of 2,500 people,
That's all we
when
had.
we got
Yeah.
a Subway, dude, it was like, holy shit. This
The
is
fucking
big.
light came
groundbreaking.
down from the heaven.
Yeah,
It was
the-
insane.
Like
yeah.
the earth could have split in half, or like Ari said, like lights were beaming down from the heavens, and it was
Dude,
the
everybody
best
was
thing
there.
ever. Yeah, it was
And
affordable,
it used to-
good food.
It used to be so good
Yeah,
compared to what it is now.
Well,
Subway has
so
like
here's a fun fact too with Subway
yeah.
is they've made some changes too, and so like
Mm-hmm.
right now they slice the meats that you're putting on your sandwich right in front of you, so it's not pre-sliced, and they got them back like in the refrigerator or whatever.
uh-huh.
And so I think that they're making moves and trying to stay relevant. But I agree with Jake. It's like, how
Big fucking whoop.
it's like
Dude.
how are you still at the point that you are now?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what restaurant I think of when I think of that situation? Is Long John Silver's. Who
Dude.
the fuck goes to a Long John Silver's, and why are they still everywhere?
The only one I've ever seen is in Junction or Montrose. Sorry.
Montrose. That's. But it's, you know what?
And it's ass.
It's 2023, and it's still there. How?
I don't know.
Who is going to Long John Silver's?
The drug
Scares
addicts who
me.
pay for the drugs because it's a front.
From fucking
Mattress Firm.
right?
Yeah, that's who's paying for Long John Silver's.
I want to know if there's like a parent company that owns. You know how there's like Johnson and Johnson, and they like
Or
own
Nestle.
like fucking or they own fucking everything.
Nestle fucking owns
Nestle's
everything.
insane.
They own Mattress Firm. They own whatever, and it's like just one big pair. Like they're just feeding into this shit.
Dude,
you know?
probably. Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
But I think too, speaking on Mattress Firm being a drug front, laundering money. I think we have an interesting part of this. I think we, we kind of do a little bit of transition into drugs.
Yeah.
So the drugs that
we're
I
gonna-
bought personally from Mattress Firm are as follows.
It's kind of sounding like Kyle wanted us to transition into starting to use drugs.
Yeah. No, this week I just started. No.
Yeah, I'm on my 3-month heroin binge right now.
Yeah. No, yeah. So we thought it'd be interesting to transition that into like drug experiences with all of us, because it's an interesting topic, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, although the Mattress Firm thing is a conspiracy,
I don't even think
we
it's
all
a
have.
conspiracy.
I think we all have real life experiences with different substances, and we thought it'd be kind of interesting to share some of the stuff that we've done, and maybe why, or obviously, like the why. It's everybody who does drugs, I feel like to some extent is in some kind of a low point in their life. I know there's a lot of avid marijuana users that are highly successful, but I don't know. It's, for me personally, it's just hard to see. And I use nicotine a lot. All of us do.
Yeah. That one's off the table. They know we use it.
There's
we did a whole
there's
episode
just
about
different
it.
levels, man. And I'll never be one of those like Karens about marijuana. Like, if you fucking do it, whatever, man. But
Do
I
it.
physically can't because I don't want to ruin my career, because I get drug tested multiple times a year. So does Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as do I.
Already used to. I don't know if you still do now.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at FedEx, yeah, you get drug tested.
Still never been.
Yeah.
By the way, I was never drug tested when I was here before. Never drug tested when I was in Idaho, and I haven't been drug tested since I've been back.
You didn't even drug test the first week when you started?
Well, I mean, when I start, but
Oh,
I've
okay,
never had a
okay.
random. I've never had to do a random drug test.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
Which
because
we
I think
do
now,
they get
this
companies-
is an offense,
Yeah.
but I just don't think when I look at Ari Wick, I don't see him being a pothead or being into drugs.
That's because I'm not.
And it's a randomized system. Like it is for
Yeah.
every company. Obviously, there's some favor. Like, at my previous company, if you were to take a vacation and people knew you were going to like a music festival, only because this is like just before COVID happened. Me
Right.
and Tyler and Ari were planning on going to the Firefly Festival in Delaware. And that was going to be, they had such a kick-ass lineup that year, too. I was so pumped. Like, we had a campsite booked already. It was going to be sweet. We were going to be there the whole
had, like, a
weekend. I took,
free
like, 5
campsite.
days off, bro. It was going to be sweet. Ari was going to fly out.
Yeah.
Tyler and I were just going to drive from Tennessee, or from Nashville, because it wasn't that far. And it was going to be a pretty good time. But
Yeah.
COVID happened, and then everything got canceled. So it is what it is. But I was telling that to somebody at work, and they're like, yeah, just, they were like, no, you don't do anything now, but just be careful. Like, if you're there and you're drunk and you do something that you wish you wouldn't have in the future, like,
Yeah.
they said, I have known one person before who took a similar trip, and random drug tests, like, even at my previous company, I've been drug tested in the past 4 years, probably like 15 times. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
frequent, I would say.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's a lot.
like 3 random times a year minimum.
Mhm.
And they were like, but your in quote random test could happen the week after you get back from a trip like
Right.
that, because they'll just say you're random, but they'll be like, well, Jake just went on a big festival trip.
Yeah.
Let's catch him red-handed.
Yeah, we know what fucking people do at festivals and what a lot of them
Right.
do. And so, if he's favoring fun over work, we're gonna get him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, thank you. I wasn't planning on doing any drugs while I was there, but you never know. You never know.
No.
When you're under the influence of anything like alcohol and above, you never know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think mostly it is random, and that's probably why Ari never got drug tested after his first week when he was here.
Yeah.
But
And then me, I feel like I've been drug tested randomly more than I would like. And even then, that's only like 3 times. But we were about to go to Lake Powell, and it was the day off. We were going to take off work early, like at 12, and head out. And I got a call in the morning, hey, you've been randomly selected for a drug test. And it's like, I can't do that. I leave at noon. And so, yeah, Jake and I, not that we do, and not that maybe we find it pleasurable or anything like that. We do not do any drugs, but it's not to say that we haven't.
right.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
I don't know. I'll break.
You want to break the ice?
Yeah,
on it?
I'll break the ice.
Okay. This is a safe place, Kyle. So
It
just
is.
share with the
So-
group what's your full name.
I
Say
thought
what
this
you're
wasn't
addicted
an
to.
AA thing.
So I'm obviously not
There was no
addicted to
pressure.
anything, and we've obviously talked about nicotine, except that.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm not smoking blunts after work or anything like that. But it's not to say that I haven't. And so I think what really started it was like in high school. Drugs in my family were really talked about a lot and maybe even some misconceptions. And so weed made you go, insane. Another big one for me, and why I never ever tried cocaine, even though I had multiple times to try it, was that if like a crystal hadn't been cut up enough or whatever, it'd shoot through your brain and kill you. And I know everybody laughs at that.
Mach 5,
Hey,
baby. Just
but like that's why I never tried it.
yeah.
I joined a fraternity for like a day. I go in there, the people there are like, oh, come on. And I walk in there and there's a platter of cocaine there. And I never tried that because one of those misconceptions of, if you do, it's going to kill you, or there's a chance that it does kill you. And with
Right.
cocaine, there is a chance every single time that you do try it does kill you, but it's mostly heart attack. It's not a crystal that's breaking through into your nose, into your brain, and killing you instantly. So as far as drugs or anything like that, obviously, not just because I'm from Colorado, but I just think every high schooler, really anybody has tried marijuana. Is very prevalent in Colorado, and so it was around, and I've obviously done that. But
Obviously.
one of like the major things though that I wanted to get into was prescription drugs, and so I went through a time in my life, and I'm not gonna really get into that, but just a bad time, and that bad time obviously then was a trickle effect down to just severe anxiety for one, and severe depression. So I was put on sertraline and I was put on clonazepam. And sertraline is just a serotonin inhibitor. And all that really does is there's serotonin always going to your brain. And sometimes there's an influx and then sometimes there isn't enough. And in my case, there was a little bit of an influx, which was causing anxiety or like panic attacks or anything like that. And so what sertraline did was it would go into those serotonin inhibitors and it would completely cut them off. And so a normal person right now, you and Ari and even me now, have serotonin receptors that take in serotonin. It helps regulating sleep. It helps your overall mood. It helps a lot of things. And sertraline goes in there and it cuts those off because there was obviously a hormone imbalance with what I was feeling in life and everything like that. And that part of it was not too addictive. But if you immediately stop sertraline or whatever serotonin inhibitor that you're on, suddenly the there's very, very bad. What word am I trying to get at here? Consequences or anything.
Side
There's
effects?
side effects, yeah. But clonazepam, and since we're talking about drugs, clonazepam,
Yeah.
I started out, which is just the, it's the generic term for Xanax. Yeah, and so I started out on clonazepam, and I'd take like one, and they were 0.25 milligrams, which is the lowest you can get. It's a very, very basic concoction of drugs. And at first, with what I was going through, it was like, I've never experienced something like this. And the greatest part about it, and unfortunately, this is just how it is, if you're going through a lot of these feelings, you don't know how to control them. The number one thing that they want to do is completely just numb you of it.
Mm-hmm.
So 0.25 milligrams numb me of any type of joy, any type of laughter. It was numb. I was a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
But the crazy thing about a human and just how we are biologically, you need more. And so then it went from 0.25 to 0.50.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, so now like you're taking 2.25 milligrams a day. Maybe just take 1.5, and then if you need it or any type of breakthroughs is what they call them, take another one. And me personally, on clonazepam, what's crazy is when at my job that I did have, I had to warn them because my pupils would be extremely dilated on this type of drug. And even though it is prescription, it did some crazy things. And so there was just no emotion, and I liked that because for a long time in my life there, for a little bit, I was going through too much. And so anything that would shut it off would be beneficial to me.
Yeah.
And so I started taking 0.50. And then we'd have, doctor consultations. They'd meet with you. You do a test, obviously, on like where you're at, like in the spectrum of depression or anxiety or anything like that. And that eventually then rose to 0.75 milligrams. And then it really took a toll when it switched to 1 milligram. And so every single time that I would take a drug or whatever prescription that I was on, it would just continue and continue. And then the abusing aspect of it would take effect. Okay, so if I take this and then I drink with it, I feel like I'm floating.
Right.
So I'd take more, and then I'd be like, man, I cannot wait to like drink tonight,
Yeah.
And I'd take one and then, slam it with a beer, and then more beer, and then more beer. And then by the end of the night, you're just like, holy cow, this is a euphoric feeling. And then you keep chasing that. And that's like the number one, like, people talk about gateway drugs or anything like that. People take cocaine, and then they're like after like meth and fortunately for me, I was just on like prescription stuff, but that's still addictive. And it wasn't supposed to be as addictive maybe as like Xanax, but it was the generic form. And so then that finally went up to 1 milligram. And at my highest, that's a tab. That's what they call it, or a bar of Xanax or clonazepam. And I was taking 3 milligrams a day.
Okay.
So if you look up right now, like safe limits or stuff like that, that could kill somebody in the night. And I was on that, and I was functioning on that. And I, even on like 3 milligrams a day, I was still kind of chasing for something more. Because what it would do is I was just used to this feeling of not feeling anything at all. Nothing. Okay. And that was joyful to me. Because so many emotions were going through me, and it was affecting me, and it was affecting everyday life, that if I had something there or a vice that would take that away and I can deal with it later, that was good to me.
Yeah.
And so eventually, and what I talked about too was like the side effects of that is, I was working and I'd gotten to a point where I was like, maybe I don't need this because I'd been on it long enough to where I didn't feel anything. And I was like, so I don't need it. And I stopped it cold turkey against my doctor's advice, against everybody who talked to me like, hey, if you're ever thinking about winning off of this, we need to make a program. You need to go through it and you need to stop it. And that then goes by like you take, your normal dosage a day, and then they give you a less dosage and less and less and less and less, and they wean you off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stupid Kyle was like, I'm going to stop sertraline, which was 1 milligram, which was a tab of sertraline, or a bar of sertraline, or however you want to look into it. And then taking 3 milligrams of clonazepam a day, and stopping that. And so I stopped it cold turkey. And I was actually working at Sam's at that point, in the tire and battery area. And it absolutely turned my world upside down. So that's what I think a lot of people don't talk about is like the side effects of that. No sleep, absolutely like manic episodes of just so much emotion. And like your brain was like my brain was able to then be like, okay, so we've been taking this drug for a long time. It's been inhibiting that serotonin inhibitor or just like a regular emotion. And so like just crying spurts or like manic spurts and just absolutely freaking out to where not only did like medicine saved me in a way, if it's done to like a correct amount. And so I went through like this entire like 2-week process of just terribleness to where then I finally like went to a doctor and, prescribed it, and we kept, this weaning off process of like finally getting off of that. And so I guess like the main point of this and like why I really wanted to talk about this and like drugs and just kind of everything involved, if you are going through something similar to where it's anxiety or depression or, whatever you're going through and you're subscribed these drugs, yes, they do help. And they did help me. But deep down, just in human nature, everybody has the ability to abuse those. Like, man, that really felt good not to feel that. There was breakthrough. Respect those. Because it is crazy, and it's a crazy experience, and I'm not going to get into all of what I experienced, but listen to your doctor if you need to, like, last resort type of stuff. Because at first when I was going through that, I was like, no drugs at all. Right. And if you absolutely need those things in life to where you're needing a serotonin inhibitor or Xanax or like anything like that to really just calm emotions, listen to your doctor, listen to the dosages. And if you do that and then you get off of it on their plan, it really does help you further in life. And so I did it wrong. I abused those things. I got to the point where I was like, I need a refill on prescription, and I've been denied that. You need to have a consultation with your doctor and going to him and telling him, man, I need like more of this, and him like having a actual sit down conversation with me and going over that. Really listen to the people who are trained in prescribing those and listen to the dosages. And if you do that, you'll be able to get through a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
So that is my experience, and that did go on for a little bit, but that's what I went through.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Ari and I both know this full story of Kyle. A lot more in depth than most, but yeah. So
that's all I'm going to say on it. So
okay. Are you want to go
Jake?
next or me?
I'll let you go next.
You want me to go next? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, dude, fucking cocaine's awesome. No, I've never done coke. So, dude, I got started early. And I don't want to just blow over like Kyle's story. I think we maybe like roundabout on this too. And I want to include Tyler on this too, because he has some experiences with it as well. And I think it'd be pretty interesting to hear his take on it. But I got started just introductory with nicotine products when I was 14. It was in high school. I think it's just kind of a given, honestly, if you're like involved with any kind of extracurricular sport or activity outside of school. If there are older kids there, juniors or seniors who have, or even, I mean, like kids your age with older siblings that have access to things, you know, like alcohol or nicotine products that can be kind of a gateway to you, then you're going to get exposed to it. Like, it's just kind of obvious in this day and age. And I started smoking when I was 14, and I just loved it, dude. I loved it. Like, the buzz was sweet. And also, when I was 14, I was probably like 100 pounds. So, you know, anywhere from 100 to 115, helps. Depending on if it was 8th grade or freshman year. But still. So, it just felt sweet, dude. I loved it. And nicotine just makes you feel like you're just surfing on air, bro. I mean, it was it's such a loosey-goosey feeling. Head spins. It's pretty gnarly, like if you're new to it, for sure. Like whether it's smoking or Zins or chew, whatever it is. I mean, it'll probably knock you off your feet the first couple of times you do it. Yeah, hopefully more than that. I mean, you know, and the addiction just occurs when you're like chasing that feeling, and you just you keep getting more and more and more and more, and then your brain receptors just train themselves to have a certain intake of nicotine, and you only have so many brain receptors, and so like it's just kind of capped out after a while. Like, it would take a lot right now to buzz probably any of the three of us, unfortunately. But I started doing that and just getting in with like some of the juniors and seniors in high school, doing what they do. It's like, dude, yeah, this is the cool thing to do. Like, hell yeah, I'm going to smoke, or I'm going to chew, whatever it is. And then it just kind of graduates into something else. And so I think when I was 15, then I went to a party for the first time, and I kind of got overwhelmed by it. So I was told it was just going to be like a birthday party. Right. And I went, and then, dude, a couple of guys just came in with like, it was like a trench coat scenario. These guys are coming in. Dude, I swear to God, he will remain nameless, but this kid came in, bro, wearing like a big ass winter coat, and it was in middle of winter, so it was cold out. Right. I was like, okay. Right. I mean, he's just kind of bundled up, and he's maybe like just hunched over because he's cold or something. But he was rushing into our spot where we were partying at this kid's parents' house. They were like the in quote cool parents, you know, that let us party in their. It was the dad's auto shop, and he had a back room in there, and we had a couch and a full surround sound system, a fridge, like a bar even. It was badass, honestly, at the time. Yeah. And I was just enjoying the kickback of it. And there was only like 5 of us there, but then like 10 more people show up, and a few more people after that. But a couple guys show up, dude, wearing coats, and they pull out like, one of them pulled out, I swear, it was like a 3-foot bong and a bag of marijuana. And he had a bag of something else too. I don't even remember what it was because I didn't do anything else that night. And I started freaking out too when I saw the bong and the marijuana. Yeah. And so I told the guy who, he was the son of the parents of the place that we were at. I was like, I'm going to step outside and just smoke real quick. He's like, all right, yeah, that's cool. And I didn't realize I was like basically in the process of being groomed for being a party animal in high school. And I was like, holy shit, dude. And I just had a little pack of prime times on me. They're just little mini filtered cigars. And I went outside and just chiefed a couple down. I was in my second one, and he came out and he was like, hey, are you good? I said, I was like, dude, I'm a little spooked, honestly. Like, I got invited to what I thought was a birthday party, and I know all y'all smoke cigarettes or cigars or whatever. And I'm like, and I'm cool with that, but dude, that shit that, so and so took out of his coat and put on the table. I'm like, I've never done that. I've never even been around it. Never seen it until tonight. And he was like, well, he was really welcoming. He was like, well, yeah. He's like, don't do it if you're uncomfortable. let's just take in strides, man. He's like, if you come inside, it's a chill environment. If anybody like peer pressures you, I'm on their ass. Like, and he was like for the first few weeks, but then it graduates, right? So I start coming around more every weekend, twice a week, whatever. And then it turns into like I'm more comfortable with it being around me. And then the guys doing it around me are like, you wanna hit, man? You know, in the first couple weeks, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm straight. Okay, that's cool.
Straight edge, dude.
Yeah. And then it elevates slightly. And
yeah,
it's like amazing the intelligence of people who are trying to get you hooked on stuff. And that can be for a variety of reasons of why, like, you know, of why they're trying to get you to join them.
It's the greatest sales pitch ever.
Yeah,
dude.
you know, and it's like,
Works
you know,
every
it'll make you feel
fucking time.
good, or like, well, everybody else is doing it. It's obviously safe. We're in a controlled environment. And dude, it's like, we're all just fucking stupid high schoolers. Like, so much could go wrong, but you're not really thinking logically at that age for most people. And I was looking for something that could kind of elevate like how I felt, and I was curious about how it felt. I'm like, well, yeah, you know, like so many of you guys are doing it, like it can't be like that twisted and fucked up. You know, maybe it's just actually like a good time. And I got addicted to it. I mean, eventually, but started smoking because those guys were like, come on, man, you know, you just got to try it once. You got to know if you like it or not. And I'm like, okay, valid point. You know, my 15-year-old dumbass self. And I was like, yeah, that's an extremely valid point. You're right. I should try it and just give it a shot. And dude, I loved it so much. Like just the feeling of getting high. Alcohol is a stimulant as well, but I mean, well, I think it's depressant actually. Sorry. But it can be used as a stimulant. I feel like alcohol is just more of an amplifier of like whatever feeling you is most present
Or currently,
in, you know, per person at the time. So if you're really sad and you start drinking, you're going to be even more sad. And if you're really fucking happy when you start drinking, you're going to be hyped happy.
Yeah.
Like it just elevates whatever feeling you're already at. That was my experience with alcohol, and weed was kind of just like a numbing device. I mean, it was dude, it just lulled me out. It depended on what strain we had, what it was mixed with. We did do a bunch of experimenting with that. Like, I don't know who these guys' hookups were. I wasn't in charge of that. I got to a point in this group in high school where I was one of the two guys collecting pitch for these parties. And so it's like, hey, you know, party this weekend, you know, this time, Saturday night, Friday night, whatever it was. And I would just collect people's money and then just funnel it to the guy who owned the house because he had all the hookups. His sister, his older sister, was of age, and I think she was the one buying it all. And the other, like, kind of in quote co-leader of it, his brother, he had a brother who was of age to buy alcohol as well. And so we had plugs for alcohol. We had plugs for anything that you had to be 18 and above to buy over the counter, like cigarettes or tobacco, whatever. And that's how we just started doing it. And so I would help collect pitch, and we had a certain structure to it. We even had like contracts though, because these guys, they actually went about it, I hate to say it, in a smart way. And the guy whose parents owned this place, he was a pretty intimidating kid. I'm not gonna lie, very friendly. We all know him, and I won't name drop him, but
yeah.
And I don't keep in touch with him at all. I haven't since high school. But dude, he was a scary kid. Like sophomore year, this kid's 200 pounds, and he's shredded, and he's got a short fuse temper, and so. But if you're on his good side, like, dude, he loves you, and he'll literally fucking kill somebody for you. I mean, like, he's beat up a fair amount of people, and we had these contracts in place. Legitimately in high school, like 15-year-olds, we had contracts that you had to sign before you partied with us to ensure that, like, hey, if you post stuff to social media to where our coaches, parents, teachers, etc., can see this stuff. Which had only happened one time. and it was a kid in our grade. Then basically, like, you know, so-and-so, this kid and one other guy who is like an enforcer, who's now still a huge pothead, and they were both big kids, man, for our grade and just for high school in general. Like, they'll fuck you up. And you know, we ran into a couple things like that, but I just felt so secure in that setting, man, just doing anything with those guys. And I only ever got into like weed, and I know for a fact I've smoked weed with other shit in it, because it has done stuff to me like not full blown hallucinating, but I mean, you know, like you're hearing shit, and your brain plays tricks on you, you know, so like you see stuff. And just the attitude that I would have too. Like sometimes I would get so amped up. I mean, and I always told these guys too. I said, hey, if you buy shit with if you buy weed with other shit in it, don't tell me what it is. Because I was like, I just want to be comfortable with you guys. Well, if you're doing it, I'll feel comfortable doing it. But I don't want to hear what's in it. And they said, okay, cool. And I never forced any of, like, so Kyle started coming over, and I invited him to some of these parties too. And I told them, like, do not give him any of that shit. But, like, just straight, like, marijuana, we can give him that. And there's a funny story on that too. Maybe we can save it for another time. But, yeah, I just started doing that. And so, I mean, who knows what the hell I was putting in my body, dude. I didn't care at all. There's some, like, crazy-ass videos of me back in the day that have since probably been erased from history, but because that was back before, like, internet and, like, we just had the flip phones, like, Nokias and shit. So it was just, like, it was super private with those guys. And we maintained it to a status of that. But that elevated, and so, like, you know, a few years of that goes on, and those guys knew that I just wanted to have a good time. Eventually it became a numbing device too. I had some other things come up, like dated a really sweet girl, goody two-shoes, was not into that stuff. I tried to introduce her to her after like a year and a half of dating. That blew up in my face like a grenade. And then, you know, that was a lot of serious talks, because it's a small town, so, you know, word spreads like wildfire. And that was a lot of serious talks with, like, coaches and teachers to not, you know, expel me or kick me from the team that year, whatever it was. And so that was an interesting phase that kind of started the whole feeling of conviction for me. I just didn't know how to word it at the time. And because it's like I'm leading at Young Life, you know, in high school. Right. But all these kids that I'm talking to have heard word of mouth me doing, like, just crazy shit on weekends and leading other guys into it, basically. And then trying to lead my ex into it. So not a good scenario. But I didn't care. I was just hurt and torn up about my life. And basically at that point, when I was 17, I started doing it just to numb myself. And so I went even harder than I ever had, because I was just drinking or smoking to forget. So it became that's like what unveiled the entirety of my, like, addictive personality with that kind of shit, unfortunately. And it basically elevated to where, like, we were going into college, and I was like, we should elevate this big time. So I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go to ASU, and I'm going to get some crazy shit and bring it back here, and we're going to do it. Like coke or peyote. Dude, I seriously had a couple of dealers there that I could have gotten anything from. Yeah. And they were skittish too. Dude, one of these guys that I was buying from in college, and I would always just buy weed from him. But he literally at all times had, like, and he lived on the 4th story of an apartment building or of a dorm building. He always had like 4 or 5 bed sheets tied together, like coiled up on his porch, that he could throw over the side if there were cops at his door and he could run. Like, they don't have his fucking name on school record on where he lives, right? Right. You know? But he had a certain knock that I had to do. And it was just one singular loud knock. and it
Okay.
changed once. I forget what it was, but I knocked wrong the first time I ever went there, and he like cracked the door open, and he had a couple of boys in there. 2 of them were already out on the porch with the bed sheets tied together.
Ready to
Dude,
throw.
yeah, I fucking walk in. I'm like, he was like, dude, you got to knock right, man. I'm like, sorry, the fucking guy that told me about this place didn't tell me that. He's like, it's all good. It's all good. What are you looking to buy? And he's super nice about it, you know? So I'm like,
Get in
he's
here,
like, what do you
dude.
want? Like Coke, weed? And I'm like, weed's just fine. Thanks. That's all I'm really interested in. He said, okay, you just let me know if it changes, man. He's like, I'm loaded with a ton of shit. I'm like, God, this is a 19-year-old kid that could sell me anything I want. It was crazy.
Yeah.
He had one buddy doing Coke on the table the first time I walked in. So I thought that was kind of crazy. But I don't know, dude. Yeah. I kept it to weed and alcohol in college mostly. I got into lean a little bit just as I kind of met more dudes who were of similar lifestyle and started doing. I didn't want to do like crazy hard shit like Coke. I thought I did, especially like what I was saying when I left high school. I was like, man, yeah, we're gonna have like a drug Olympics, like Blue Mountain State style. I'm gonna bring the shit back. We're gonna put it in a hat, and you shake it up. Whatever the guy grabs out of it, you fucking do it that night, and you get twisted, and we're all just gonna have silly goose time. And that's how I was thinking. It was just gonna be a jolly kind of college ride.
Yeah.
Not the case, because when I saw that kid doing Coke, I'm like, dude, these kids are in rough shape, bro. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I knew I had an addictive personality. So I just figured I'm going to keep it at what it is. Weed's fine for now. Because if I get hooked on Coke, dude, like that's a whole new level to graduate to.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. But one of my best friends that I met freshman year, he started partying sophomore year, and I started partying harder sophomore year, and he started doing lean, and so I would do that at any party that we were at, and that shit's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, like it felt great, but dude, I mean, it's just not worth it at the end of the day. I mean, because you can get so comfortable with shit like that, and it's like it was just like basic homemade shit, you know, like whatever cough syrup he was buying. Or whatever shit, you know, syrup he was getting from whoever. I didn't ever ask questions. He was just like, bro, you got to try this stuff. And he'd always load me up right when I showed up to a party and he was already there. He'd give me a full cup of that shit. And so I would just drink it, man. No questions asked. I didn't want to know because the less I knew, the better.
Yeah.
But that was it. And I guess I forgot to in high school. So I had my wisdom teeth removed, all 4 at once. And, you know, it's pretty painful, honestly, like after the fact. Like your mouth is, it's in need of painkillers. And so they prescribed my 130-pound ass, like, you know, the pretty strong Vicodin or whatever it was at the time. I think it was Vicodin.
Right.
It was just kind of a heavy hitter when I was weighing that much. And eating as much as I was, I mean, it was just easy to get kind of fucked up on whatever. And I started doing that. And I've mentioned this to my parents too, and I think they listen to this podcast. I think they listen to every episode, so this isn't something that's like new to them. I've never talked with them on depth on this particular subject though, because I started taking like a couple of those a day, and I was like, man, that shit really works. That feels pretty good too. And this is when I was partying a lot, so when I was like 16, 17. And then I started doing like 3 or 4 a day whenever I felt like I wanted it. And, dude, I was eating potato chips like a week after my surgery to get all 4 wisdom teeth removed, which is pretty quick. Yeah. I didn't do it in front of my parents because I was like, man, this shit's awesome, and I want more of it. And so I got so many refills. I milked it as hard as I could for as long as I could, and it only lasted probably 3 solid months, which is, I mean, probably as much as I could have stretched it without questions being asked to me personally. But my parents aren't stupid. Like, my mom's been a nurse her whole life. My dad's worked in a hospital his entire life. And my dad already knew for sure that we were like just some little scandals, you know, or little heathens running around and partying on the weekends.
Yeah.
His words to me were always like, you know, he's like, just be smart. He said, he always told me, like, be smart, be safe. He said, but realize if I catch you red-handed doing some dumb shit, like, big consequences are in order. And my dad's terrifying, and you and Kyle both know that. And
Yep.
So I had the fear of God in me from him. But
Right.
dude, I was trying to be smart about it. I'm like, yeah, I can't be bombing like 6 of these fucking pills a day, you know? Otherwise, I mean, because also it'll kill me. Like, I'm 130 pounds.
Yeah.
But it just felt like I was, like what Kyle said, dude, I was floating on air, man. It just felt so relaxing. I'd pop like 2 or 3 after school, after dinner or whatever, and just feel like super relaxed. I'd take a couple before every party. I mean, and I would just pocket them, like, because my mom wanted me to take them in the morning or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, nah, I'm going to save it for a better time than that. And sometimes I would take them in the morning, but and then just take more at night. But I knew my luck was probably running out. And I was going to ask for a new refill because I'm like, and I would always have good excuses. I'm like, she's like, why is it still hurting? Like, you're eating normally mostly right now. She's like, what, do we need to go back and have it checked out? Is there an infection or anything? She had me open up and look, and I was like, no, I just like been on a hard food and it like irritated it or whatever, you know, whatever bullshit I was saying. And my mom's not dumb. You know, my mom and my dad have seen people at their worst for their entire working career. Just working in hospitals, like, it's just a given. And one day I knew I still had a little over half a bottle left of that prescription, and it was at the 3-month mark, basically. And I like went downstairs at night to grab a few, and the bottle was gone. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, my parents know that I like this shit. And I was too scared to even bring it up to them. Like, hey mom, where's the Vicodin at? Like, what? No, so I'm like,
well, it could have gone
I wasn't
ways.
a stupid kid. I'm like, it's been long enough.
Yeah.
They know. The jig's up. And I shouldn't even bring it up.
Yeah.
The bottle was just gone, and that was end of fucking story. And I never brought it up to him until I basically professed like all of my addictions and lifestyle to them once I was in college. And saved, you know, by my faith after that. So it was just kind of funny to bring up now because everything's okay. But I know that one of my parents, most likely my mom, was catching on to that and was like, yeah, no, he doesn't need it anymore. And just took the bottle, threw it away, probably on a trash day. Yeah, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So that's the extent of my drugs. I mean, and then I still use nicotine now, which we've talked about pretty extensively so far, so we won't dive into that. But so I was hooked on painkillers for like 3 months and fucking loved it. And I think I just didn't really have any like repercussions to that, to getting off of those, because I had so many other crutches to lean on, especially just with nicotine, alcohol, and pot, that I was fine, because I was getting like blacked out 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I mean, literally, dude, I would get blacked out before a day of school. Sometimes, and so I was fine with what I had, and I'm like, you know, it was a good run. That shit's pretty sweet, but I'm not gonna test my luck with it. And I think that translated into helping me not get hooked on some serious shit at college. So
that's fair.
I was in a low in experimental time in my life, and I'm glad I'm not hooked on it now. If anything, you know, really, like, it's just probably good that I got it out of the way while I was under parental supervision. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the brains to stop it, really, because I was just having fun, and I knew it, and I didn't want to stop. So, long story short.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that was a long story
I
long.
think it was just a long story, but yeah.
It needed to be said, and I do appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
We are at an hour 15.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Ari,
who
I do want to hear yours.
I just remember I was in Costa Rica. No.
Waiting for the plane to drop the payload.
Yeah,
Cut
we're
the
waiting
first
for the brakes
bag
to come
open,
flying down.
test it.
But what
We
is
had all the
what
locals.
is your experience? All jokes aside,
It's very, very limited. You guys know me. I've never really experimented too much with anything. Done a little bit of marijuana. Not my thing. I don't enjoy it. I hardly even drink. And you guys know that. Like, just a handful of times maybe we were up there where we would drink, and that was about my extent. 1 or 2 times, maybe a little more than
Yeah.
than I'd like to remember. But I've never blacked out. I've never done anything more than I've smoked marijuana and I've done edibles, and that's it. Maybe 10 times in my entire life. And it's just never really been a thing for me. Like, nicotine's probably the most addicting thing in my life. And
What about it isn't
that's
appealing?
Yeah, they always say, like, oh, if you smoke weed, you won't have anxiety, but I think it just elevates my anxiety,
same.
which is already pretty bad. But I've
fair.
never been interested in, like, prescribed drugs for that. I just kind of deal with it and get over it. And I just deal with it in my own way. And I don't need something to help me do it, I guess. And I guess I've, like, with trial and error, figured out that, you know, drugs will not help me. They will just make it worse. I just always panic. I've only had, like, 1 or 2 good experiences in the 10 that were good, I guess. It was probably like a list of things of, like, the right scenarios and the right people and whatnot. But, you know, like you guys know, I didn't party in high school. I didn't really even party in college. The parties I went to, there was never any hard drugs or anything like that. It's usually just marijuana.
Dude, and I tried in high school,
which was
too,
cool.
to get you on board, and you weren't having it.
Yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I'm just not interested in doing that. I don't care. I didn't care that you guys did. I knew you guys weren't stupid. Like, you may have felt like you were stupid or you were doing stupid things, but I knew you guys weren't really dumb. Like, you weren't going to make a bad decision.
Like, we were the only class in our high school to not get fucking minors in possession, charges.
Right. You guys were smart about what you were doing to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we all signed the DARE waiver back in elementary school, but obviously that didn't work out.
No, I don't even remember signing that. I signed a fake name.
Yeah. Yeah, just nothing's really appealing to me. Like, even like psychedelics and stuff like that, I've never had any interest in. Like, I would rather be the sitter than the one doing it. I'd rather be the person kind of just like being the comfort guy. That's more my personality.
I got a funny story on that with Kyle too. When we had a party at my place. I don't want to derail your story.
Well, no. I mean, I really, and like, I don't even have any stories. Like, there's just been too many bad instances with the stuff, and it's just the internal workings of my brain, and alcohol and drugs don't mix. So I try to not do it as much as possible. I barely drink. If I do, it's like 1 beer here or there. I'm just so worried, like, that 1 beer is going to be the DUI, I guess.
It's happened, dude. It's literally happened.
That's
to
how
some
bad my
people.
anxiety is. But yeah, and even though I'm a massive person, I am a massive lightweight. It does not take much for me to start feeling something.
Or he's like a housewife with like 1 glass of wine, dude.
Yeah.
She's just...
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It gets me... Yeah, there's like certain things that like can like kind of calm me down. There's certain drinks and things like that I'll drink from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
That they really just like they chill me out and they get me in a very social mood. But like one too many is like, all right, then I shut down and
Yeah.
I'm quiet, and I don't like being shut down and quiet because then everybody else gets awkward, it feels like. Or maybe it's just all in my head, but that's always how it feels. And it's like, all right, now I'm the fucking bummer, and I don't want to be the bummer. I want to be the joy and whatnot. So it's like I just don't do it. Just don't have any interest in doing it, and it's not something people can persuade me to do.
It's good.
It took a lot. It took a lot of persuasion the first time, and with the people we've hung out with that do it like on the daily, like never any pressure from you guys either. It's just like it's my own decision, and it's just something I just enjoy not feeling that way. I'd rather watch you guys feel that way. That brings me the same joy, I think.
That's fair. That's fair.
When you did it, you don't do
Yeah.
it now. We should disclaim.
Yeah, Kyle and I
All this is in a
drink on
past life.
occasion too. I mean, we're drinking now, but just kind of a weekend thing. Got to stay sharp during the week because we wake up early and work late, and it's just how life is. And we're grown-ups now, so yeah, just maturity is everything. I mean, you know, I think you've been blessed to probably learn from mistakes of friends or other people who are close to know, like, you know, these things in excess have consequences, and that's just the reality.
Yep.
And not everybody likes that stuff. I mean, like it just so happened that I got persuaded into doing it because I felt comfortable in my situation, and it's good on you that you weren't as easily persuaded, obviously.
Yep.
And just there's a whole slew of things that like impact that, but yeah. Definitely glad that we're past those speed bumps now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, dude, the sitting thing. So I had I'm just going to say it now just real quick. I had to get together at my place freshman year of college, and I invited, there was probably 10 of us over, maybe 15 tops at the peak of it. I think a few people left. And I don't want to throw Kyle under the bus, but we were all doing a lot that night just to have a good time.
Uh-huh.
And Kyle's in the bathroom now, so I feel bad. He's not here to defend it. He's not that he has to defend himself. And I've been in ugly situations too, where people have, you know, took care of me in a vulnerable spot. But he was not in good shape that night, and he threw up, and I caught it in my bare hands.
Oh, God.
And I ran to the bathroom to dump it in the toilet and wash my hands. But I caught it.
Yeah.
It didn't hit the floor.
Attaboy.
It all went in both
It's a
my
real fucking
hands.
bro right there. It's a real fucking bro.
Yeah.
It's a bro move. Jesus,
Dude,
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, like somebody else that was right next to him said, like, I don't think he's doing so well. Like, I should probably give him some fresh air. And I'm like, yeah, just run up there. And then it just happened pretty quick. I was prepared.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You
Yeah,
have to be.
and then we rallied, and then got caught by my dad doing drugs in his driveway. So, you know.
Yeah, well.
That was something else.
Kyle, I have to say, was one of the best ralliers I've ever been around.
Yeah, just wake up, you know.
Now, not so much.
None
But
of us
back
are,
in the
dude.
day,
It's
he
hard
was-
to rebound.
Yeah. I had a pretty good rebound when I was up there.
I
in
don't
Idaho
drink
one time,
anywhere
but
near the amount I used to in college or high school, too. And it's
Yeah.
harder to rebound. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I only had like a few years of like occasional like a weekly like binge of like just drinking.
Right.
And I've only gotten sick like 3 or 4 times. One time was in Idaho recently, but that was just we were having fun that night.
Yep.
So, and I should not have had Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was down here. I don't remember. Justin was here for the Taco Bell one. That was bad.
Well, you know.
But I prepared myself. I knew it was coming.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's just like, I don't know. The stuff is just, it's not to be messed with. And there's a reason that there's laws and stuff surrounding
Exactly.
it. And I don't know. It's never been an appealing thing to me. I find joy in other things rather than ingesting and drinking and whatnot.
Yep.
But But yeah. Yeah, so we're all criminals here.
Yeah.
and we've all done
Reformed.
bad things, and we shouldn't be judged for
we're
it.
doing
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
It's all about the rebound, you know.
Well,
and
yeah.
whatever. I don't know. We don't do that shit anymore, so that's all that matters.
Are we? No, we don't. Are we just stalling till Kyle gets
Yeah,
back?
pretty much. I think on this
Oh,
note, we're
sweet
pretty much done
Lord,
with the
he's back.
episode. Hope everybody enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'll be going through again this weekend. I'm gonna try and get some. I'm still in the process of capturing our best clips. We've posted some or a handful to YouTube Shorts, to Instagram as of this weekend. I will do that, and then TikTok. So
Yeah.
follow us on those. TikTok, it's just That's Exciting Podcast. Same exact handle for Instagram at That's Exciting Podcast. And then YouTube, I think it's That's Exciting Podcast. Just like it shows, just as it shows for anywhere that any platform you listen to the podcast on. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Love you guys, as always. And
If we could hit up the Patreon and
Yeah,
keep supporting
Patreon.
us that way.
Yeah.
And
Was it Patreon /
that's exciting.
That's Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or patreon.com / That's Exciting. So check us out.
Nah, you don't need the .com.
New content coming your way. So y'all have a good morning, evening, night, whatever it is. And we will be back tomorrow night with Tyler. Ari may not be with us that time,
Correct.
but
I'll see if I can, but
regardless.
we'll try.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Peace.
peace out.
I'm a loser, hallelujah. No one